Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about HD DVD, and in particular, what is HD DVD? So obviously it's a format that looks very similar in footprint in terms of cases to, this one's a bit faded, I'll get a better one, knocked up. It's, um, it's a format that looks very similar in terms of footprint to Blu-ray. This was the format that competed with Blu-ray and had lost to Blu-ray. This was backed by Toshiba and Microsoft. So people who had an Xbox back in the day, Xbox 360, will remember there was an add-on for the Xbox that was a HD DVD player, and you could play these things in your Xbox. Um, Obviously, this ended up losing to Blu-ray at the end of the day. I believe this was mostly 1080i, and obviously this one's 1080p, so it was HD quality on a. Let's have a look at the disc. So you can see very similar to a DVD, Blu-ray. Obviously, it's probably multi-layered, like a Blu-ray would be. But you know, this stuff was essentially the format that competed with Blu-ray, for example. Well, let's grab something off the shelf, Blu-ray, because obviously let's get a bit of can I get him off the shelf here? Bit of Blade. Let's get a bit of Blade off the shelf. Something like this. Obviously, this was backed by Sony. I think the reason why this format ultimately won was that it was more readily available. It was backed by Sony and all the major film organizations around the world. Because when Sony gets on board and it's in the PlayStation, and it's not like an add-on like the Xbox was, this is why I believe it probably ended up winning. It was more accessible. It's the same thing that Sony did with DVD players, put it in the PlayStation 2. When Blu-ray was in the PlayStation 3, I feel like that got them over the edge and made them win. But obviously, look, HD DVD still had a lot of really good releases on it. As you can see, I've got a big collection of HD DVDs. And, like, it is not a bad quality. Like, I've got a HD DVD player, as obviously I do. But, it's not a bad quality. I can put this in and it will look beautiful on my TV. Like, it'll feel like I'm just watching a Blu-ray at most points. But, this is a completely different format to Blu-ray. And look, it's got lost in translation now due to how much time's passed. Obviously, most people are aware. Oh yeah, HD DVD. That's the format that lost to Blu-ray. Most people are aware of that, but most people probably haven't held one of these. I mean, the longer time goes on, the less and less people who actually had these, and more new people coming into the scene. This is something that really is more of a collector format now. It's more of the niche collector format. I mean, look, all of this you can pretty much get all of this on Blu-ray anyways. So why would you need to collect this? Well, the reason I've got a collection of this is because, well, I'm a collector and preservationist, and I like to preserve any sort of media. Like if it's a niche format like HD DVD, of course I'm going to have a few copies of something. I've got Harry Potter down the bottom here, even though I've got that on 4K now. I still keep it around because it's a niche format and it's something that not everyone has now. It's something that was kind of lost to history. And I know HD DVD is not lost to history. Sorry if you're a collector and I said that. But essentially, it's something that not everyone has anymore. And I think that kind of gives my collection kind of an X factor to me, at least. And when obviously I've showed you Laserdisc previously, and I'll put this in a bit further so you can have a bit of a look see through that. But yeah, obviously I've shown you Laserdisc in a previous video. I have a collection of Laserdisc. I have probably 150 Laserdiscs. I showed you a select few that I chose and wanted to show off. Obviously, yeah. But yeah, to me, having stuff like this in my collection is important because it gives my collection depth and variety. And even though it's a format I'm probably not going to watch too often, I'm not going to choose the copy of The Bourne Identity on HD DVD over the 4K version that I've got over where do I keep the 4K version? The Bourne Identity. Where do I keep that? Action. Here we go. Over there. I'm not going to choose it over that version. But the fact that I've got a format that not everyone really has anymore, it feels like really nice and the fact that it'll play, if I put it in my player, it'll play and I'll be able to watch a movie on that format, it just adds an extra layer to my collection in my view. But it's not for everyone. Obviously, it's an extinct format now. It's lost to Blu-ray. We've moved on to 4K now. But still, to understand the significance of this, you need, I mean, there are a lot of good videos out there that will talk way more in depth about this, about the competition, about how fierce it was, why Microsoft and Toshiba ultimately lost with this format. And yeah, there are better videos explaining it. My experience I'm talking about is that I like to have it. It looks good in my collection. There are things in here that I don't even have on Blu-ray, like Dante's Peak, I don't have on Blu-ray. But it is here. It is in my HD DVD collection, and I can watch that at second's notice. Moan as well I don't have on Blu-ray. Heartbreak Kid I don't have on Blu-ray. So the way I've kind of put this together, obviously I have Harry Potter on Blu-ray, but most of this I probably don't have on Blu-ray. I mean, I have the Hulk, obviously, Fast and Furious, but there's probably about half of this collection on HD that I don't have on Blu-ray or 4K or DVD. This is how I've got it. And that gives me a chance to actually watch them. If I wanted to watch Dante's Peak, obviously I'm going to pull out the copy I already have rather than trying to track down a Blu-ray copy or a DVD copy or a 4K if it comes out. To have this in my collection is to say, okay, I've got it. I own a copy of that. And it is HD. It's definitely a HD option. I think that's 1080p as well. You can watch that. But as I say, this is kind of a niche format. It is a collector format now. It has become a niche collector format because not everybody has a HD DVD player in 2024. But it is a really good... I love looking at it. It's definitely a little bit of an X factor to my collection in my view. It adds a little bit of depth, because when people walk in, they'll say, "Hold on, you've got HD DVD." Like that's an odd format. It's the same thing they do with my my VCD collection, which I'll post a video on my VCD collection. You know what? I'll do a video. I'll do a video next on my VCD collection. But yeah, to have a format like HD DVD still in 2024, it just look. I never grew up watching this format. I chose Blu-ray right off the bat because it was in the PlayStation. But the fact that it was readily available, and I didn't have to really the fact that Blu-ray was really available and I didn't have to think about, this is Blu-ray I'm talking about, that's why it ultimately won with me. With HD I'm definitely aware that it existed, but it wasn't really available. If it was built into the Xbox, for example, which is what Microsoft really should have done to compete with Sony, I feel like this would have had a better chance. They should have released games on HD and really pushed it. But at that point, look, the movie studios had already chosen Blu-ray. I mean, a lot of them were jumping to Blu-ray because it was backed by Sony, and Sony had the PlayStation, and the PlayStation, even though PlayStation 3 was flawed, you had it something that was built into the PlayStation in the Blu-ray player versus something that was an add-on feature to the Xbox. And ultimately, that's a lot of people and consumers would have seen that and been like, well, we can get a Blu-ray player. It's the dueling formats, but we can get a Blu-ray player in the PlayStation rather than having to buy this extra add-on and get it with Xbox. And I feel like that's ultimately what won the war for Blu-ray. Now, I feel like I'm going off on a bit of a rant here, but obviously HD DVD, it still looks great. I mean, you have to have reservations with this stuff. I mean, it is 1080p, to some cases 1080i. And as long as you're not blowing it up to trying to sharpen it to 4K quality or on your 8K TV or whatever, it's going to look great. Like, it's going to look like a Blu-ray, essentially. And if you look after it, it'll look after you. You'll be able to access this for years and years on end. Obviously, if you have a player, you'll need to have a player. I have a player that doesn't have the remote with it, but, you know, if I pop it in, I can still use the buttons on top and play it if I need to. It's something I don't watch too often, but it's definitely in my collection, and I know I can access it at a second's notice. But why do I keep it? It's because, as I said, half of this I don't have on Blu-ray, but why wouldn't I just go out and buy the Blu-rays? I just like to have something that's not the mainstream, not the status quo, not the way everyone else went. Like, yes, I could go out and get the Blu-ray for all this and replace it, as I did with Harry Potter. I've got the 4K for that now, and Born Identity. But the reason I stick with having these copies, for example, like Dante's Peak, the reason I keep that on just HD DVD is because it gives me a reason to watch this format, and it gives me a reason to appreciate. And I learned something from watching that format that's like, it gives me insight into what was dueling with Blu-ray. And obviously, it's the same thing I have with Laserdiscs. My Laserdisc collection, I have because it's the covers look freaking mad, but also the other, just as important, is that we also, with Laserdisc, it's also just a niche format. It's a massive disc that you put into a player, and you kind of get an idea of how this was the high quality format that competed with VHS and Betamax. Obviously, look, it was never really in competition with VHS. VHS was completely on a different level, but it was the high quality format the cinemaphiles back then would have chosen. And I feel like this is kind of in the same line. I mean, it's definitely a HD option, but before HD DVD and Blu-ray, DVD was obviously around. DVD is still the most widespread media format other than VHS, but in the terms of the modern day, it's the most widespread in the modern setting. But yeah, I just like having the look of HD DVD. It's something not everyone else has, and that's why I still have it in my collection. I like to have depth to my collection, and I feel it adds intrigue, and the fact that not everyone else has this, that's a reason to collect it in my view. It's just something preservationist wise, something that I like to preserve, something that I like to have, something that I occasionally like to view. So yeah, that's why I keep it around personally. And if you're a HD DVD collector, I would love to hear what your thoughts are on it, and do you collect it? How big is your collection? Obviously, this is only like 30 or 40 odd releases I have here. I think that's basically my HD DVD collection right there. Probably 35-ish. But hey, mate, I've seen people with massive collections of this, hundreds. Some people even have every single release of this that they will never get rid of. But yeah, for me, I just like to have it in my collection, and it's definitely as intrigues me into understanding all the competing formats over the years, and understanding why people chose this over Blu-ray, or why people chose Blu-ray over this. I can watch a Blu-ray and a HD DVD back to back, and understand, okay, what did I like about that format? What worked? What didn't work? It doesn't help that my player is stuck on 1080i though, because I don't have the remote to change the settings. But even with that, like, it's a minor thing, and 1080i is not going to look too bad. Interlaced obviously is different to progressive, but if I have got the remote for that, I'll just switch the setting because it is a HD. It's a 1080p capable player, and I just can't change the settings without a remote. But the fact that I even have a Toshiba HD DVD player in 2024, that's a testament to me. Like, I don't, even if I can never change it, the fact that I just kind of have it, that's a testament to my collection as well. Like, I love to be able to play formats. It's not just about collecting this, it's about I have to be able to play it as well. It's not like I'm just buying it just to look at. And yes, I do like the look of it. I really like the look of it, actually. But the fact that I can actually play this if I chose to, it just adds an extra layer to me. And I think that that's a testament to my collection. And obviously, I'm never gonna, if I can help it, I'm never gonna get rid of stuff like this, because preservationist wise, as time goes on, this is going to be harder and harder to find. It's going to be, obviously there's millions of these things out there, but as people throw theirs out, or put them in binders, or throw out the covers, or you know they get damaged, scratched, they I feel like this is a way to preserve the format and what it was. And yeah, that is why I do it. And if you like this video, maybe subscribe, chuck a like down there underneath the video, and maybe leave a comment if you're a collector of this stuff too. Tell me why you chose HD DVD over Blu-ray, or why Blu-ray ultimately won for you. I want to hear your story. Tell me in the comments why you chose the other format, or this format, or whatever. Tell me why. I want to hear your story. And until next time, peace, guys. Rest in peace to Akira Toriyama, who we lost we lost on March 1st, but was announced yesterday. Creator of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball franchise, Dragon Quest, Dr. Slump. So yeah, rest in peace, Toriyama, and I will catch you in the next one.